Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Emery Pitcel. I am the owner and chiropractor at Rothrock Chiropractic and Rehabilitation, and we are located in State College, Pennsylvania. And it is March of 2025, which means we are on the doorstep officially of spring, right? And spring is the season that we think most about with vitality, everything kind of coming back to life and turning green, coming out of the dormancy phase, coming off of being the slumber that was winter, right? And so, along those lines, I felt it would be a fun podcast to talk about the top 5 tissues that regenerate in our body, i.e., the tissues that have the fastest turnover, they heal themselves the quickest, and they, reproduce their own cells and their cell turnover the fastest. And here are the top 5 that we have in the body here. And now this isn't really a true musculoskeletal topic, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie each of these 5 regenerative tissues and tie it into the greater part of health and how it improves or helps to protect our musculoskeletal health. So let's jump right into the first one. The top tissue that regenerates in our body is our skin. It's really amazing. You probably have seen on yourself that you get like a cut on your finger, and within a week or two, that is completely scabbed over and the scab comes off and it's as good as new, like you almost never had a cut right there. So our skin is the fastest turning over in our body. That epithelial lining of the epidermis just tremendous at turning itself completely over. Now that ends up being important because our skin is a very large organ in our entirely our protective barrier from microbes and infectious diseases that are trying to get in. So if we are frequently getting infected, not only are we going to think we're going to get ill, but there are such things as infections parking into like muscles or getting into the joints, what we call osteomyelitis, right? And so it's so important that our skin is able to turn over and heal itself to protect us from these infectious diseases. Now, number 2 is our liver. And our liver is amazing. Maybe people have heard this before, but you can actually have a chunk of your liver removed and within like months or like a year, a lot of that liver will actually grow itself back. It is amazing how much the liver can regenerate and heal itself up. And the liver is just absolutely critical because it's pretty much the main organ that detoxifies in the body, right? You have a night out where you have a drink of alcohol and your liver is the one that ends up filtering out the toxin that is the alcohol, and just so many other nutrients that go through and get filtered and processed at the liver. And liver certainly has kind of like a lot of importance with like the digestive function as well too, digestive enzymes that help to break down like proteins and fats and whatnot. So it's really important that our liver is able to turn over that way because as we kind of get like toxins and we have an injury on a muscle and it's releasing kind of like the toxins as it's healing from in there, that liver being able to regenerate is huge for keeping that bloodstream flowing and keeping everything clean so that way our bodies can feel as well as they can, right? Number 3 is our red blood cells, right? It's about, I think, 120 days is what the turnover is on a typical red blood cell. Absolutely critical, as we know, the red blood cell loaded with hemoglobin, that's what carries oxygen to all the tissues throughout the body. So again, if we kind of had anemia or we had some sort of event where we bled out a little bit and lost too much blood, it's really critical that those red blood cells are able to regenerate and heal themselves up so that way we can keep getting high quality oxygen to our tissues. And of course, that's going to be critical for healing any sort of musculoskeletal pain, whether it's the joint side of the pain, the nerve side of the pain, the muscular aspect of the pain. Having that high turnover of red blood cells absolutely imperative to have. Point number 4 is our bone marrow, right? The bone marrow is highly reproductive and highly regenerating as well too. With our bone marrow, that's where it kind of ties into the last point with the red blood cells. Quite a bit of the red blood cells, they start from coming out of the bone marrow. The bone marrow is also going to give us a lot of our white blood cells too, like our leukocytes and our neutrophils, in addition to what also is going to come out of there is like our B type, our B type of lymphocytes as well too, to really make sure once again that we're fighting off infections and not getting sick. staying away from like osteomyelitis or infections that could pop up in the muscle, like a necrotizing fasciitis. So don't want any of those types of things. So the fact that we're able to have that high turnover at the bone marrow and continue to keep our bodies healthy and keep the immune system where it needs to be, absolutely critical as far as that's concerned. And then the last tissue that regenerates really fast is our gut lining. And this is so important on so many levels. That's where we take in all of our nutrients that we eat in our food, has to get absorbed through that gut lining. And so the fact that those gap junctions stay tight where they're supposed to, and we stay away from things like leaky gut or stay away from small intestinal bacterial overgrowths, like it's really critical to have that gut lining turnover. Also, what some people don't really realize or don't think about sometimes is that in the gut, 80% of your overall serotonin in your body, the happy hormone, 80% of that is made in the gut. So the fact that the gut can turn itself over like that is just very impressive and very important for our overall health. Now, of course, you can't have musculoskeletal wise, you can't have a healing of the nerve or of your muscle or of your joint if you don't have the proper absorption of macro and micronutrients to get that inflammatory and therefore tissue healing and laying down good collagen and laying down good fibrinogen to heal up any sort of injury that exists at nerve, joint, or muscle. So we are super grateful and thankful for our bodies for being able to regenerate that gut lining and keep that tied into our overall musculoskeletal health. So once again, in conclusion here, our top 5, since it's spring and it's getting beautiful out there, and we always think of spring out in nature, that everything is regenerating and coming back to life. Well, our top regenerating and coming back to life tissues in our body are our skin, our liver, our red blood cells, our bone marrow, and last, our gut lining. Those are the top 5 that regenerate fast. And it ends up tying into our musculoskeletal health. So we're just always amazed and always trying to learn more about the human body, because it is truly the most sophisticated machine that exists on the planet is your own body. So treating it with respect, and if you are, having any sort of issues, musculoskeletal type pain, that's what we focus on the best. But we certainly want to highlight these areas and kind of just highlight that this spring for our podcast. Well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. We hope that this was interesting and exciting. Don't go too crazy once the spring weather kind of starts to flip at everything. Make sure you pace yourself going back into activity. But if something does pop up and you hurt yourself, your muscles and your joints are pretty good at regenerating and healing as well too. They just didn't make the top 5 list, but we'd be happy to help you get rehabbed and get yourself out of injury and out of pain. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Tune in next month for our top 5 or 5 common podcasts. But thank you for watching it till the end. If you liked the video, hit a like. If you want to leave us a comment, we'd appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you found this interesting and fun. Thank you so much. Take care, everybody.